Welcome to the Mobilized Leaders Podcast with me, James Chavez. I coach people to be confident and competent leaders. So let's jump into today's episode. Well, welcome to another episode of the Mobilized Leaders Podcast. I'm James. I'm excited to be here with you again. These are such fun for me to do with you, and I hope you're getting as much out of them as I am. Because, gosh, if you have experience and you're keeping it to yourself, what a resource underutilized. So if you're a leader, make sure that you're investing in other people, because that's the best way to raise up other leaders. Today, we're going to talk about something that so many people ask me about all the time, and it's when do you fire someone? How do you know when it's the right time to fire somebody? It's a big decision, and it affects their life in such a big way. It affects the team, the whole organization. So you want to get this right. So people ask, how do you know when it's time to fire somebody? I want to start with just a couple of basic principles as we dive into this, because again, we want to make sure that we're being competent and confident in the way we approach these. We want to respect people, and we want to make sure that we've given them every opportunity to succeed. So you want to be consistent. That's the first thing I want to make sure that we've talked about, is be consistent as a leader. Make sure you're not showing favoritism. You're not letting your feelings direct how you guide and lead people on the team. Maybe you're more pleased and satisfied with someone that is more like you. Don't fall into that trap, because that can lead to some disastrous results. And you're going to miss out on utilizing the value that some team members that aren't like you bring to the team. Diversity actually does bring power if you're using it wisely. Consistency with this person, consistency with the whole team. And when I say consistency, I mean make sure that you're not letting your emotions and your feelings dictate. I've heard a lot of people say about their leaders, man, I just don't know what I'm going to get from day to day. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low, sometimes they're in a good mood, sometimes they're not. We never know what we're going to get. So they're kind of walking on eggshells. That's not great for leadership. You want to make sure that you're being consistent. Facts drive your decision. And you're wanting to make sure that they know what they're going to get when they're relying on their leader. So be consistent. Make sure you understand the impact that each team member has on the greater team. So understanding that the wrong hire can be detrimental, the right hire can elevate you to the next level of success. And what cost will it bring to offload someone from the team? If you're going to fire somebody, what's that going to do for the rest of the team? For morale, for productivity, and for that person. Don't disqualify how it's going to impact them. Ask a couple of questions. Some that I encourage leaders to ask all the time is, have I been the leader that they needed me to be for them to succeed? That's a big one. And I don't know if you even asked that question. I'm going to say it again to make sure you catch it. Have I been the kind of leader that this team member needs to succeed? Because if you're not asking that question, you're never going to truly unpack all of the levels to know if you're being the right kind of leader for this team member. Really for all the team members, but it's not one size fits all. So you have to think, what does this person need? What's their personality been, their skill set, their demeanor, the way they prefer to communicate and be communicated with? One of the questions I ask in interviews all the time is, what's your expectation of your leader? That is a great question to understand how they like to be led, how you can get best results from this team member. And so you have to ask, have I been the leader they need me to be? And if not, you've got to own it. You've got to own all of this, because when you offload somebody, when someone has to be terminated, that falls squarely on your shoulders as the leader. And a lot of leaders don't own it. They just say, oh my goodness, I had a bad hire, or this was a bad employee, I just had to get rid of them. Well, every person that you fire is a direct reflection of your leadership. Wow. I think if you viewed it that way, you would be a little bit slower to terminate someone on the team. It's not just a commodity that you can just kind of go through. I've heard some leaders refer to team members as scaffolding. Build them up, accomplish what I need, tear them down. They're just something I use to accomplish what I need. And I heard other leaders use kind of phrases that resonated with me. The difference between a dream and a scheme. If it's a dream, the people that help you get there benefit from the journey and the result. If it's a scheme, only the person that's scheming benefits from the process. The rest of the people are their collateral damage. So you want to make sure that you're understanding what kind of a leader they need and you're owning the result. Their failure is your failure. If you have to fire them, you have to take a good hard look at your leadership and have you done everything possible to set them up for success. How have I, as the leader, set them up to win? You have to look at that. So I say very clearly, What are the expectations? Was I clear at setting the expectations for this team member? Did I give them the tools to succeed? These are some big steps that we miss. And if we get them out of order, or if we jump 2 or 3 steps ahead, we're going to miss out on some of this valuable information. So, did I give them clear expectations? A lot of team members, when you ask them, define the win. What will your leader say is a win? How do you know if you're succeeding? They say, I don't know. I get an annual evaluation. Sometimes I get a raise. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. That should never be the case. They should know clearly beforehand what the expectation is so they can measure their success. And then you, as the leader, should be giving them regular feedback so they know how they're measuring to that progress. And you can have minor tweaks and corrections along the way, but there should never be an annual or semi-annual surprise, or that's the only time they're getting feedback from you. Clear expectations is the name of the game. Vision, competency, tools. Make sure that you're giving them the tools to succeed. That's the other thing. If you're just saying, hey, go figure it out, just go win without investing in ways to help them win, that's not a very good leader either. You're just kind of that helicopter kind of leader. You just come in, you make a lot of noise, you dump on them, and then you fly away. That's not really great. I mean, you have to make sure that you are giving them the right tools to succeed. Clear expectations, the right tools. Don't fire for personality conflicts or differences. I see this a lot too. You know, they just didn't gel with us. They just didn't fit the culture. They just weren't enough like us, or I just didn't like them. These are not good reasons to fire somebody. This is a big decision that affects them in a significant way. It affects you in a lesser way. I mean, it's not your livelihood that's been abruptly interrupted and your resume that now has to put terminated on there. So make sure that you are not doing it based on your feelings. A lot of people do that. You have to own the interview process and the vetting process. You can't be as quick to hire and then super quick to fire. They just didn't fit. I took a chance on them. It didn't work out. That's poor leadership. I'm just going to call it what it is. You have to take the time to get to know the person, ask the right questions, figure out if they're a fit for the culture before you pull the trigger and hire them. That way, you don't have to be as quick to fire them. And then once they're on the team, give them all the tools, all the opportunity to succeed. Give them a long runway. Don't just say, I heard some leaders say, I'll give them enough rope to either swing or hang themselves. I don't know if I love that either, because again, it shows very little investment on your part as the leader in this team member. It's a 50-50 chance. Maybe they're going to succeed. Maybe they're going to fail. That's on them. Not really. Because if you're their leader, you have a responsibility to help them succeed. And if they don't, it's your failure. So make sure that you've given them the opportunity, you've made the investment. But man, if you find yourself time and time again with bad hires and you're wondering why you're having to fire so many people or you want to fire so many people, you need to stop and ask yourself, what are you doing wrong in the hiring process? And that's going to be another podcast that we're going to talk about, is how to hire good employees and good team members, how to ask the right questions, and how to make sure that you're sifting through to get the best people for your team, your culture, and for what you need to accomplish. But if you're not taking the time to do that, you need to make sure that you're backtracking and you're pausing, you're assessing that process. Because if you got a lot of team members that you want to offload, a lot of team members you've had to fire, you've got this revolving door, shame on you. Sorry. I know you're here for leadership encouragement, but sometimes we need a little tough love, and we need to hear where we're falling short so that we can get better. That's the only way we can get better, is evaluate, self-awareness, and then an investment in ourselves to improve. So get better at the hiring process, but don't be so quick to hire just based on personality conflict. A lot of guys, they say, or ladies, I like hanging out with these people. And so the people that are their friends, that they're most like, they succeed. The ones that are not like them struggle or eventually self-select or are fired. Make sure that you're not that kind of leader. Make your decisions factually based on their performance, and their performance is based on the expectation given, the tools given to meet the expectation, and then you be a resource to help them succeed and meet those expectations. So don't be quick to push them out the door. So those are some of the quick things that I just wanted to share. People ask all the time, how do I know when to fire? And one of the things I do when I'm coaching and consulting is we walk through this process. So I just wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the things that you're going to want to do. This was just a very quick synopsis and not exhaustive by any stretch of the imagination. If you want a little more information, reach out to me, james@mobilized.life. Send an email, or you can leave comments wherever you see this posted. and we can get connected. We can talk a little bit deeper. Maybe we can partner and I can help you with the process, maybe wherever you're getting stuck, and we can get unstuck and get to the next level. But if you need to know, how do I know when it's time to fire? The long answer short is make sure you've first given them opportunity. You've got the right person on the team. You've set clear expectations, given them the tools to meet the expectations, and then you've figured out it's not that I can't do it, they don't want to do it. Don't fire for a competency gap. You can train, you can develop, and you can help someone be better. Usually it's if they choose they don't want to, if they've got some kind of problem with authority and they just don't want to submit to the structure that you have, and there's consistent performance failures that you've tried to unpack and solve, but without any success, then it's time to help them to the door. The last thing I want to say is if you're going to fire someone, fire them with dignity, respect. Be tactful about it. Don't do it just in an email or a text message. Don't do it in front of a team. Privately talk to them. Help them understand where they're not meeting expectations. Make sure you point out all the ways that you've helped them try to meet the expectations. And then you want to make sure that you have given them tools to succeed as they're on their way out the door. If you can give them a reference, if you can point them in the direction of maybe a company or a team that will be a better fit for them, knowing what you know about them as you've led them. That's a great way to respect the person and still help them succeed because you've touched them. You want to leave them better than you found them, and better or worse, you have to own the results that they have going forward in their career because now you've been a part of it. So don't be so quick to discount and say, well, it's somebody else's problem. They're not mine. They're not on the team. I'm going to just let them go and let them go on about their life and their career. Own the results. That's what good leaders do, and they take pride in how they develop people to be better. That's what good leaders do, is we're coaching for competency and confidence. I hope this helps a little bit. Again, if we can dive in a little deeper, I'd love to partner with you. James at mobilized.life. Send a note, send an email. We'll connect. But again, make sure you're subscribing and you're sharing this with somebody, and send me some messages about other topics you'd love to hear in terms of getting our leadership better and stronger. I'd love to hear those. Thanks for listening and being a part of this community. We'll see you next time. I hope you were encouraged and challenged by today's podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our Mobilized YouTube page and follow me on social media at James Chavez on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and James Chavez on Facebook. For more information and ways to connect, visit our website at mobilized.life.